Look what you're doing to me. I'm utterly at your whim. All of my defenses down. Your camera looks through me with its X-ray vision, and all systems run aground. All I can manage to push from my lips is a stream of absurdities. Every word I intended to speak winds up locked in the circuitry. No way to control it, it's totally automatic. Whenever you're around, I'm walking blindfolded, completely automatic. All of my systems are down, 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 down. What is this madness that makes my motor run? My legs too weak to stand. I go from sadness to exhilaration like a robot at your command. My hands perspire and shake like the leaf. Up and down goes my temperature. I summon doctors to get some relief, but they tell me there is no cure. They tell me no way to control it, it's totally automatic. Whenever you're around, I'm walking blindfolded, completely automatic. All of my systems are down, 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 down. Look what you're doing to me. I'm utterly at your whim. All of my defenses down. Your camera looks through me with its X-ray vision, and all systems run aground. All I can manage to push from my lips is a stream of absurdity. Every word I intended to speak winds up locked in the circuitry. No way to control it, it's totally automatic. Whenever you're around, I'm walking blindfolded, completely automatic. All of my systems are down, down, down. No way to control it, it's totally automatic. Whenever you're around, I'm walking blindfolded, completely automatic. All of my systems are down, down, down.
In the name of Omni Supreme, the all-powerful, the one and only true Lord, and Amen we trust, and Amen we think, and in Amen we continue forward forever. Good evening, I'm your host, the intellectual Lord Benjamin Manhattan, and this is Supreme American TV. And tonight we're going to have a big dose of reality. I'm going to give my people a big dose of reality. I apologize for being late. I know I'm late, and I know I played the long musical intro, but I usually like to start 15 minutes into the hour. You know, I like to start 15 minutes into the hour. So always be prepared. I'm gonna have some music. I'm gonna have newer music and things like that. But I love the old stuff. I love all the old music because that was real music. That was real, genuine music. And you know, I like to play some old stuff, you know, because the old stuff is timeless. So welcome to Supreme American TV, our third installment at Supreme American TV. For those of you who don't realize, we changed I changed the name of my channel to Supreme American TV because I want to uphold and focus on us as bronze people becoming better Americans, greater Americans. You see, because we have a very rich history, very rich culture, very rich heritage that we have stopped tapping into, that we have stopped connecting ourselves with. Simply, you know, one of the main reasons because, you know, all of the false titles that our people wear, Black, you know, to hide who we are, of course, African American to again hide who we are. You know, basically titles that do not fit our history, do not fit our narrative here in this country. A lot of our history is has been appropriated. A lot of our culture as Americans has been appropriated. People hear America and they think other people who are not even American. You see, when the real Americans are being told they Black people, being told they from Africa, like they came over on slave ships voluntarily or some nonsense like that. What they was using the term forced immigration, right? Which we know is foolishness. And that brings me to my topic tonight. What is the real reason why Black Americans are denied reparations? What's the real reason? Answer: because everybody else but you can get reparations. Everybody else but you can get reparations. In other words, this further proves that we're the real American Indians. This further proves it, because if we were really immigrants, the United States government would have no problem giving us reparations if we were immigrants. You see, that's the bigger problem. We're not immigrants to America. Nobody brought us into America. You see, that's a lie. Because if that was really true, then of course, you know, they would be they would be obligated, you see, even though they don't think so, to pay us for our labor that was taken from us forcefully. We had labor taken from us forcefully. However, nobody brought us here into America. Our labor was taken away from us as American Indians, as American indigenous people. That's why our labor was taken away from. That's why slavery over the American indigenous people, the real Americans, was seen as key for European settlers to survive. So they had to take, you know, the indigenous people into slavery, which they did. They didn't go over to no Africa and get no slave. They just caught our people. That's where the whole slave catcher system come from. It wasn't just them catching runaway slaves. They also went out and caught free people, indigenous people, and would kidnap them and bring them into the plantation and force them to work. So they were committing crimes right here. They were trafficking in our people, trafficking in the flesh of American indigenous people, not no Africans. So because of that reality, because the U.S. government knows, and the U.S. government, of course, was complicit in it because they had the Fugitive Slave Act, which, you know, our people didn't have no rights to freedom. The government allowed for slave catchers to go and run our people down and chase our people down and force them to work. You know, this was a system that, you know, that they put together, and, you know, it was perpetuated and put continuously on the American indigenous people. When we think slavery, we need to stop thinking Africa. Stop thinking Africa when you think slavery. Think American, because the real Americans were the only ones who were enslaved here in America. The real Americans, you see, to grow cotton, to pick cotton, to grow tobacco, to harvest and all this other stuff, grow food and things like that. You see, our people got to wake up to the reality of who we truly are. You see, that walking around in 2025, still calling yourself Black people, still calling yourself African Americans, still believing that the U.S. government is going to give reparations. They don't want to give reparations because then they have to admit that slavery was not a transatlantic, endeavor, for lack of a better word. They got to admit that. They got to admit that this country was ours before they came here. They have to admit that. They have to admit that we're not African. They got to admit that. You see, all of these African stories were created over time. But the thing that was constant and continuous, because notice at one point the government was trying to give us reparations. At one time after slavery, that's when they was talking about 40 acres and a mule. They was talking about 40 acres and a mule after the Civil War and the Confederate Army won. They were talking about giving our people 40 acres and a mule. That was going to be reparations right there, basically giving us back the land they stole. They was giving us back the land they stole. And again, let me ask you a question. Riddle me this. If we Africans from the diaspora, if they say we claim we Africans, right, then how is it that Africans was owning 20 million acres of American soil? How was it that African slaves got to own 20 million acres of American soil? You do know that. You do know that so-called Black people, so-called Black Americans, really the redacted Americans, you know, the people who had history in America before the Europeans came, 1828 Merriam-Webster Dictionary, American, a term that was applied to the Aboriginal copper-colored races before the Europeans came here. I'm paraphrasing that, but you can look it up, the 1828 Merriam-Webster Dictionary, when they tell you who the original Americans are. We are the original Americans. We are not African. We are the original Americans. And it's because of this reality, which is why they will not give us reparations. Like I said, the talk of that was took place with the whole 40 acres and a mule, because they figured, because that's how you made your living. You made your living through the land, what you were able to grow from the land, the food, material, whatever, tobacco, whatever you were able to grow from the land, which is why land is valuable. You see, it's what you can grow and harvest from it. We made people millionaires. You got old families here in America who had slavery. We made people millionaires off of our labor, right? But we're not getting compensated for it because this country only believes in, this government only believes in compensating immigrants. This country only believes in compensating immigrants. And who are the immigrants? Who are the immigrants? Everybody but us. Everybody but us are immigrants. That's why we don't get reparations. That's all. We are not immigrants. We are indigenous. Indigenous people, they're not trying to give indigenous people. The U.S. government does not want to give indigenous people, bronze indigenous people, the only real indigenous people, because even the government know that people who call themselves Native Americans, they know these people are not indigenous to America. They know that. They know these people are Asians. They've been playing a big trick on our people, sitting up here telling that these are the real indigenous people and y'all came from Africa. And our people believed it. And our ancestors, our grandparents, they pushed back against it. But, you know, with the onslaught of your Walter Pleckers and all these other people who were pushing to reclassify the American indigenous people, us, the bronze copper-colored people, the copper-colored races, they were pushing to reclassify us because they were rewriting. This is when they started to, after the Civil War, they started to rewrite history. You know, the U.S. government started to rewrite history. You know, how they say to the spoils, to the victor go the spoils. So they feel as though they fought to take hold of America, to put a government here, and to reduce the people who are indigenous to this land to slaves, to call them Black people. Basically, the same thing that's going on over here in America, or that went over here in America, where the Europeans came and took over the land, right? Same thing that went on over here is the same thing that went on in South Africa when the Boers, the Dutch, went into South Africa, right? And of course, the indigenous South Africans were there, right? And they eventually just took over and, set up a society and took over their land. You see, they took over their land through military force and things like that. And they start calling themselves Afrikaners. They stopped calling themselves Dutch and Boers and all the Dutch and all that. They stopped calling themselves Dutch, right? And they call themselves Afrikaners now. That's the same thing with the white man here in America. He stopped calling him, well, he still calls himself Italian, French, German, Irish, what he actually is. But when he comes into America, he American all of a sudden. He just American. He just a white American. You see how they get a blank slate, a clean slate where they could start all over? You see? Yeah, the Afrikaners and the Boers are all the same. Yeah, I agree. I said that. The Afrikaners, the Boers are all the same. They all Dutch. They all Dutch. And you know what they say about the South Africans over there? They said the so-called black South Africans, because they practice the same sort of racism as here in America. They say the so-called black that they ain't from, they pull like they ain't, you ever heard them say the so-called black people that's in South Africa are not really South African. They said they came from like the islands or Jamaica or someplace else, that they're not really South African, which might be some truth to that. However, because remember I said a lot of the South Africans, they look like American indigenous people. So they may be telling the truth when they say that because I told you a lot of the places in Africa, you got American indigenous people in, who were taken into bondage and brought into Africa. And South Africa sound like one of those places, you see, but it still doesn't matter because the so-called Africans were there before them. The so-called South Africans were there before them. The so-called bronze population, so-called black population was there before them. But they don't care about that. All they care about is taking hold of the land and depriving the people, because that's what, when people come in on that colonizer mindset, their whole thing is to take whatever the country has. They don't have no regard for the people. They don't have no regard for the indigenous people that were using this land. Like I said, it was a lot of places here that you wouldn't even know about. Like for the longest time, people didn't know that Central Park, one of the most famous parks here in America, in New York City, Central Park, one of the biggest parks, in America, was inhabited by American indigenous bronze people, the Seneca Nation. The Seneca people, the Seneca Nation was at one time, that was Seneca Park. I think it was called Seneca Park. That was the Seneca indigenous people. These were bronze people. These are people, the Seneca people that was all up with the Seneca Indians, the indigenous people, bronze people. They were all upstate New York. They were out on Long Island. You got the Shoshone out on Long Island. See, all these people, all these indigenous tribes were here in America, and especially up in New York. Central Park was Seneca Village, right? And that's where all the indigenous people lived at. The government came, made all them people leave, and they made a park for all these other people to go in. So they always go against the indigenous people. They always go against and deprive the indigenous people and give their land, give their property to the immigrants. This is an immigrant government. The president, all these people, Donald Trump, these are all immigrants, man. Their families is from Germany, France, Italy, wherever. They all from Europe. They're not Americans, yet they run in America. And they calling themselves Americans, while the real Americans are still here. They run in America. Now, yes, Seneca Park. They call it Seneca Village too. But that's where all the that was a big group of and it was a nice area. People lived there. And that what did New York City do? They call eminent domain, basically something they made up to make up an excuse to take the land from the indigenous people. So they always do that. They always take land from the indigenous people. They always subjugate the indigenous people. They always destroy the indigenous people. And I say this because y'all need to wake up to this, man. Get this in your mind. This is the reason why the U.S. government is not going to give reparations to Black Americans, because you are American indigenous. You are indigenous to America, and they do not believe in giving reparations to the people they stole from. They don't believe in that. They don't believe in giving land back. They don't believe in that. You see? They got military, police, and everything else to enforce their will, and they basically say they ain't giving you nothing back. So when people like Dane Calloway, and no disrespect to Dane Calloway, because he's a goat in this thing. I'll say he's a goat in this indigenous knowledge, but he's not that realistic when it comes to dealing with the Caucasians, the Europeans. They don't care about no law, man. The law is just a convenience for them. I'm not talking about all. I'm talking about your racist ones who basically run this society. They run this government. They're not trying to give no reparations to the indigenous people. The whole thing was to destroy the indigenous people. So why would you try to repair what you tried to destroy? They tried to destroy us. The whole goal since they got into America was to destroy us, the indigenous American people, the copper-colored races, the real Americans, us. That was the goal, to subjugate us. You see? That was the goal. Right? How can you take okay. Exactly. To give reparations would be admitting that they were wrong and making amends. They're not going to do that. They're not trying to admit that they were wrong, and they definitely not trying to admit that you're the real American indigenous people. Now, let me tell you something. Our people never believed that. Our people never believed that we was African. That was something that they pushed on our people in the 50s and the 50s and the 60s. Our people, our grandmothers, grandfathers, they always knew they were indigenous people. They always knew that. They always knew they were indigenous people. You see? Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. 1 second. All right, I'm back. All right. Sorry about that. All right, so had to check on something. All right, so yeah, so my point is that they're not trying to give our people no reparations, man, because we're the American Indians. And again, whenever a colonizer or an invader comes into a space, the whole thing is to destroy the native population, to replace the native population. That's the whole thing. To destroy the to destroy the indigenous population. I want to make that clear. Native and indigenous are not the same thing. Indigenous is the original people, the first people, the only real people. And the natives are the people who come behind, like all these other people that came here in America, the Europeans, the Asians. These are not Americans. Yet they walking around perpetrating a fraud, calling themselves Americans every day. That's like me going over to Asia and saying, I'm Asian, I'm Chinese because I live in China. I can't be Chinese because I live in China. I can't be unless all the Chinese that are there are no longer there, and I start a whole nother society and I start saying, okay, we Chinese now. So I can't say it because the Chinese people are still there. The people who are Chinese by nationality are still there. The people who are German, Irish, Italian, I can't go to Italy. I can't go to France. I can't go to Germany. I can't go to Uganda or the other places and start calling myself Ugandan. I can't. Like I said, So to try and, you know, how the white man tries to justify calling himself American, right, when he's an immigrant, to justify, and it was said in 1828, they've been wanting to call themselves Americans. They've been wanting a fresh start. They've been wanting to replace our people. And so, of course, they're not going to repair the people that they work to destroy and displace, and run freeways through their land, send out a bunch of marauding terrorists, right, under the guise of being Christians, to come and destroy your home, burn crosses on your lawn, stuff like that. You see, stuff like that. You see, they're not trying to repair you. They're trying to break you. They continue to break you. That's why you still got police brutality on you and whatnot. It's a target on the heads of so-called black people in America, because you're the American indigenous people. And the people who are the colonizers, the invaders, the gentrifiers, all these people want your place. They always wanted to show you, be American. That's why I said in the 1828 Merriam-Webster Dictionary, they had no problem with becoming or calling themselves Americans or white Americans, just revamping themselves and moving forward. While our people were still sitting up here on some tribal thing, we couldn't get it together amongst each other. We couldn't come together, because had our people come together and flex their muscle, because it was a time where we were the majority here in America. It was a time where our people, the American indigenous people, were the majority here. And I'm going to just say something that's like this. I still suspect we are. Because I keep hearing these numbers. I keep on hearing these numbers about how they saying so-called black people are only 13% of the population. That so-called black people, black Americans, only 13% of the population. So that if so-called black people are only 13% of the population, how is it that more of them are in the armed forces? Because somebody gave that number. Somebody says more black people in the armed forces than anybody. More so-called black people in prison than anybody. So how do you get all these people who in prison, who locked up in jail, that the minority? I don't get that. How is it that you focus on these people as the problem, and they are a small minority? So the small 13% of people are this is the problem with America. Crime, inflation, thing. They're the problem with America, right? Or how about you want to blame them for the problems because you know they're the indigenous people, and you hate them because you know they're the indigenous people? You know that our culture dominates America. Why? Because we the indigenous people. It makes sense that our culture, our music, everything that we do pretty much culturally dominates America. You see, the Europeans, they control the government. They got the government. The so-called white supremacists, they control the government. They got that. But the culture is still in the indigenous American people, the indigenous Americans, so-called black people. And that's why I said we don't even use that terminology black no more. We just say American. We know what we mean when we mean American. We know we mean American indigenous, because we are American by nationality. And again, 1828 Merriam-Webster Dictionary, they call the Europeans told on themselves. The Europeans, Merriam-Webster, told on themselves. They left that there for all history, so that you know who the copper-colored races are, because you know our skin is copper-colored, not black. Our skin is copper-colored, not black. And you know they were talking about our people who were seen as the real Americans. You see, the Caucasian, the Europeans, they were coming over here as colonists. They were just colonists, United Colonies, the colonists. They never called themselves American at the time. They never called themselves that. It wasn't until they start reclassifying our people and pushing our people off the land, that's when they start becoming American. They start saying, well, we're going to just go ahead and take that title. We'll call it the real Americans, blacks. We'll call them Negroes. We'll call them coloreds. Because ever since they encountered our people and they saw that we had the land, they've been conspiring. I'm talking about your racist colonists, your Europeans. They've been plotting to take everything from us. And lo and behold, not even 200 years later, we done lost over 20 million acres. Do you know how much 20 million acres of land is? And again, that's how you know we the real American indigenous people. Because what would Africans do with 20 million acres of farmland in America? What the hell would Africans do with it? I don't know no African farmers in America. I don't know no African farmers in America. So what you're telling me is that, you know, we came from Africa on slave ships and we somehow knew the language. We somehow knew how to work. We somehow knew how to do that, all from beating us and all this other stuff. That don't even make sense. We know how to work the land. Why? Because they beat us. They know how to speak the same. They know how to communicate with us. Why? Because they beat us and killed us. Come on. That don't even make sense. You can't beat somebody into knowing something. You can't beat somebody into understanding. You can't beat somebody. They know that the indigenous people had all the land, which makes all the sense in the world. The indigenous people had all the land, and of course they would come and the government wasn't going to help the indigenous people. They was encouraging these marauding white mobs to take land from the indigenous bronze people. They were encouraging them to do that. They was encouraged. That's what they meant when they said homesteading. What they really mean is, if you see these indigenous people, these copper colored people, these niggas, we just go ahead up in there and just do what you got to do. We ain't gonna question it. We ain't gonna say, "Oh, that's a crime." No, they went up in there. They kicked. They take over people's land, like what they did in Rosewood, like what they did in Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Them people, they just took them people's land, man. They just took them people's land and said nothing about it, and said it like with their whole chest on some lawful, like it was lawful what they did. Just took those people's land. And the descendants of those people came back to get their land. They told them, nah, and no reason, we just don't want to give you the land. So they took the land from our people. That's how 20 million acres through the got redistributed to Caucasians and other people. They had programs where they would teach these Caucasians, and they would ask simple-minded Black people to do this. They had programs where they would teach these Caucasians how to grow food and grow stuff on the land. And they would, and to add insult to injury, they asked us, the indigenous people who had the land, who was doing all this, to teach them how to grow. And you had niggas that wouldn't actually help them. You actually had these guys who actually went out there and helped them. You see, they actually helped them harvest the soil and grow cotton. Because again, they want to lie and say, "Oh, they just got us here to pick cotton." No, they got us here to do way more than pick cotton. Way more. We basically was the labor force of the United States of America. We were the labor force. You see, we were the labor force. You see? Let me see, what is this? It's all about power and military. Folks could take land and claim 300 years. Yeah. Right? But my point is that we can't afford to be gullible and naive as to why we're not getting reparations, because I hear this in the so-called circles of the Black conscious community and all these people that's sitting up here who still want to be Black people, who still willfully slow, who sitting up here trying to act like, man, when we going to get reparations? Why they didn't give us our reparations? Give us our reparations. Now, if bronze indigenous people, if our people do get reparations, that's good. I would like a check, but it seemed like that would be over their dead body, man. They don't want it. They're not trying to repair the indigenous people. They're trying to destroy you. Don't y'all understand that? And when you go in their court systems, when you go in anything, you got no wins. They already against you. When you call the police, they already looking at you as the perp. All so-called Black American indigenous people are the damn perps. You are the people that they hate because you're still around. They want America to be an all-white country. They want America to be an all-white country, you see, but that's not reality. It never was. Because if it wasn't for the indigenous bronze people, us, there would be no United States of America. It was because of us. Like I said, if it was left up to Europeans, there would be no America. If we didn't help them through our labor, through harvesting, through growing, through creating an economy, through the agricultural industry, creating an agricultural industry, creating a Wall Street in New York that traded our people and sold our people on auction blocks for labor, because they couldn't make it in America without our labor. They needed our labor. They needed us to build things for them. They needed us to grow things for them. They needed us to wet nurse their children, make clothes for them. We did everything for these Europeans, everything. And what do we get in return? What do we get in return? Lies. They can't even tell you the truth now. They won't tell you that you're the real American Indians. They're not going to tell you that. These people despise you. See, black people got to wake up, man. Come out of blackness, man. Come out of darkness. You see, I saw some farm advertisement, then whites. Yeah, right. So, again, people who have suits who are seeking to destroy you are not trying to repair you. I mean, do y'all get that? The people that have been seeking to destroy you, anything, any achievements you made, they destroy it. They work against you. They're not trying to give you money to empower you. They're not. That's why when they came up with the idea of the 40 acres and a mule, I think that was under, I forget the president. I think it might have been under Lincoln. That Andrew Johnson, the next president after them, shot all that stuff down. They're not trying to empower the American indigenous people. Y'all got to understand that. They're not trying to empower the American indigenous people. They got themselves in a position where they got organized. They got organized. That's why the United States as a union is important to white Americans, because this is the foundation of their white supremacist government. This is the foundation of it. The whole idea of unification. That's the foundation of it. The whole idea of unification is the foundation of their government. That's why they had a big war over, when the union and one part wanted to secede from the union, and they had a big dust up about it. They fought I think 4-year war to try to keep the states in the union, because they realized that if they fell into that whole separation of the states, then eventually the whole union would come down. You can't have two. You only can have one. You can't be two. America would not have lasted or went along with unions over here, and the Confederate over here. It wouldn't have went long. It would have fell apart. And the people in the union, they realized that. So, and like I said, so the goal was to break the back of the union and make them dependent on the federal government. That was the goal, because the Confederate Army was the federal government. You see, and they was telling the union, nah, y'all not going to be no separate nothing. It's only going to be one country here, because united we stand. What do they say? United we stand, divided we fall. So they realized that if they continued on with this unity and whatnot, they would fall apart, and they would eventually be taken over, like how they came in and took over the indigenous people. Like, trust me, they saw where it was plenty of times the American indigenous people, the bronze people, us, plenty of times the American indigenous people, our people could have wiped the Europeans out, man. Plenty of times. Going back, I'm talking about to the 1700s, to the 1600s. Plenty of times we could have wiped them out, but we didn't. The American indigenous people, our people, the bronze people, we didn't wipe them out. We still tried to call ourselves being, tolerating these people, tolerating these Europeans that came over here, stealing land, lying, abusing our people, sexually assaulting our women, sexually assaulting the men, and they was raping the children. They was doing all of this, and while teaching you about God and Jesus. Wow. All of this abuse, all this sexual abuse, all of this degenerate behavior we had to experience at the hands of these people, these racist Europeans that came here. And their descendants are still here today. They still walking around here copping this thing like, oh, we American and whatnot. They still doing that. And why we don't want to give you blacks no reparation. Now ask yourself a question. What kind of people would be against reparations for people who have been worked and beaten and enslaved? What kind of demonic energy has to be on you? A sense of right and wrong. Hell, I would say if that happened with so-called white people here in America, where the indigenous people was beating on them and doing all the stuff we did it back to them, I'd be like, damn, that's messed up. They should get some kind of reparations to, get themselves together. I would say that as a fair person, but they're not fair people. They're not. They're not at all. And that's going to be their downfall. That's going to be their destruction, because they lying to the American indigenous people. They lying to the real Americans. They hiding the real Americans under the term black, under the term of Negro, under the term of African American. No, man. I told you all before. I said black people are willfully slow. Black people are willfully slow to understand reality. Black people are willfully too slow to understand reality. You're not getting reparations because you are American indigenous people, not because you Africans from African American. No, this country helps immigrants. This country helps immigrants. Okay, they put them in position when they come here. I done drove all up and down in the South and whatnot. And you know who I see owning the convenience stores? You know who I see owning the convenience stores? I see Indians. Not Indians. I don't want to go. I see Hindus. They got Hindus who they relocate here into, right? They got Hindus who they relocate into America. They bring them here and give them a line of credit, set them up in these filling stations and whatnot, because it was a time when the Caucasians had it. And I guess they ran it into the ground. That's why you don't really see a lot of European or Caucasian white Americans, so-called white Americans, running these 7-Elevens and these little gas stops, because it's a lot of money in those places. It's a lot of money. All right. But you don't see a lot of Europeans running it. But what they was trying to, it was time they used to run it. You've never seen bronze people, because they wasn't trying to let bronze people run those. They're not trying to empower our people financially. The U.S. government is not trying to empower our people financially. Please understand that. They rather get a bunch of Hindus from India somewhere, aka Hindustan. They would rather get them and empower them. They would rather get them and set them up in business. You see, give them a line of credit. They ain't trying to help you. They're trying to help immigrants. This is an immigrant-run government. This government is not run by Americans. It's run by Europeans. Okay, please understand that. These people are Europeans running America. They're not Americans. They told you before in the Merriam-Webster dictionary. They told you before they're not Americans. They told you before that y'all still up here with this, we black, we African American, all this other nonsense. Y'all still up here with this foolishness, man. You still up here but drinking the damn Kool-Aid. That whole African American thing is the damn Kool-Aid. That you want to talk about a cult. The whole African American thing is a damn cult. The whole belief that we came from Africa on slave ship, that's some damn cult teaching. That's cult teaching. Why? Because cult teaching is BS. Cult teaching is BS. It's meant to brain stain people. It's meant to get them under mind control. It's meant to get them to believe lies. You see, that whole African American thing thought up by Jesse Jackson, a company man, you see, who kept pushing the lie. They wanted to keep pushing the lie that we came from Africa on slave ships, that America, when they came to America, it was nothing here, just a few Indian tribes. You know all that lies they tell? All the lies they tell. Oh, it wasn't no. So then who the hell was they enslaving then? Who was they enslaving? When they talk about the from 1715 to 1717, how the Europeans was capturing Yamasee people, and they was trying to enslave the Yamasees, the Indian, you had the local, all indigenous tribes. Just imagine, you see all so-called black-faced bronze people everywhere, indigenous tribes everywhere. So they're like, damn, they seeing these people working the land, getting money, doing, basically feeding themselves. So they want a piece of that action. And they know that ain't no, they ain't got no real stake in the land. So the only way they can do is get together and force the indigenous people off their land, kill the whole family, right? Take the whole land over, kill the men off and whatnot. They set up a plan, man. They set up a plan. Satan set up a plan. That demonic, and they set up a plan. They stay planning on how to take things away from you, for how to deprive you of things. The very things that made us a functioning people, they work to take from our people. That's that demonic spirit. That's that demonic spirit of that consumption. Just consuming people, consuming lives, destroying lives, doing all this for what? For what? So that they can be happy, so that they can be whole as a people. But here's the thing, you'll never be whole as a people. No matter how much land you steal, no matter how much governments you set up, you'll never be whole as a people. Because see, when you do degenerate things to people, there is judgment for that. There is universal judgment for that. There is earthbound judgment for that. You see, the reason why the judgment hasn't come on these people who have done all of these horrific things, these demonic things, these degenerate things, and continue to do that, the reason why judgment has been held up is because the true people who are the judges have not placed themselves in that position, have not mentally placed themselves in that position, have not morally placed themselves in that position. And we are placing ourselves in that position as Americans. We are placing ourselves in that position as Americans, as indigenous people, indigenous Americans, people American by nationality. We have to have a different moral code than the very people that's sitting up here calling themselves American, because these very people have dirtied up the word American. These immigrants have dirtied up the word American, because a lot of them come here and they commit crimes, right? They come here, they commit crimes, right? Like your mafia, all these people come here, they come to this country to commit crime. I'm not saying all the time, I'm talking about the mafia, these criminal organizations, the Asians, they come here to commit crime, man. But they'll call our people the scum of the earth. They'll say that our people are degenerate and whatnot. We don't have criminal networks. We don't have criminal networks. A bunch of niggas calling themselves a gang is not a criminal network, not an international criminal network that trafficking people, drugs, and everything else. This was being let into this country. You see? This was being let into this country. But when you got people that's stealing people's freedom, this country was founded by thieves, murderers. You see? Unjust and unjust and unholy people, degenerates. Because anytime you got to force people to work for you too much, you own people and all this crazy stuff, you're a complete degenerate. Anytime you got to sexually assault people like a lot of these slave masters, and these people will make heroes out of these people, you are a degenerate. You are a degenerate. You see? And that reckoning is here. That reckoning is here. That's the book of Revelation. That reckoning is here. The reality of who is who in this day and time is coming out more and more. You see, and that's fine, because this is Judgment Day. This is Judgment Day. And there are a lot of people that don't want to hear the judgment. But again, that go for you so-called white people, you racist white people, you ignorant black people. The judgment going out to everybody. Everybody who is living in the degenerate mindset and the degenerate life, who think it's okay to deprive people of the knowledge of who they truly are, lie to people, steal from people, constantly grind people into the ground and whatnot, so that you can feel better about yourself. See, all that sick, degenerate behavior is coming to an end. From black people, from white people, from everybody. Everybody's in the line of judgment, including myself. But I keep myself above nonsense and foolishness and stupidity of things. Is what I keep myself above it. Hell on. I want, we should be, remember I said in the Holy American, I said we should be striving to be holy Americans. We should be striving to be righteous Americans, not Muslims, not Christians, not Israelites, because these are nothing but a bunch of fantasy ideologies, nothing but a bunch of fantasy beliefs. There's no Jesus. There's no God. There's not, all that's just made up stuff, man. That's made up. Hardcore reality right here. And I know a lot of people are not going to be ready to embrace this channel because I deal with real truth. I don't sugarcoat. I don't cookie cut. Like I said, all the people that's out here that's still referring to our people as black people, don't trust them, man. I don't care who they are, even if they look like us. If you still calling our people black people, and you could clearly see our skin is not black, and you still something telling we got black skin, don't trust these people. They working for the beast, man. They here to serve the beast, man. They here to serve them, because the beast, these racist cave people, they want us to stay as black people. They want us to keep referring to ourselves as black people. They want us to stay as black people so they can remain on top of us as white people. Remember, I told you there can be no black without white, and there can be no white without black. So when our people are sitting up here saying, say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud, like damn James Brown, that's sellout. Yeah, and I said James Brown was a sellout because he was the one pushing this whole we black thing. No, we not black. We American. We are American by indigenous status, by the first people of this land, internationally, South American, Central American, North American. We are American. We are not black people. We are not African Americans. Your African Americans are Elon Musk, Akon. Those are your African Americans who are immigrants from Africa. Elon Musk, Akon. Those are African Americans. Like these people, they trying to push these African artists, these plants in the industry. They trying to push these musical plants, these Africans on, and they trying to make them. Those are your African Americans. We American. From South America to Central America to North America, we American. Just as like that. And they ain't giving the Americans no money. The European government that's currently in America is not giving the indigenous Americans, the bronze-skinned people, they're not giving us no reparations because of that. Because of that. Now, if we was immigrants, maybe, but I don't really see them doing much for the Africans. I really don't see that. You see? So again, when you hear these silly Negroes, because I'm about to wrap this up in a minute, I'm gonna come back tomorrow. I'm gonna do another live, and the question of the day is going to be, are black people really part of the human race? We're going to ask that question and answer that question tomorrow. Are black people really a part of the human race? I know I talked on this, but I want to go into a more direct and logical breakdown of why black people are not part of the human race, that we are totally different species from everybody else. I talked on it before, but I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do this as a definitive. Tomorrow, Saturday, I'm going to do that. So get ready for that. We're going to break it down logically. You know what I mean? That's pictures too, maybe. We'll see. But so before I close it out, I want to get this straight. We're not getting reparations because we're not immigrants. That's the reason why. This country done gave reparations to everybody. Y'all keep saying that. Tariq Nasheed been saying it all year. Jason Black, all you guys say this, and y'all don't get it yet. Y'all supposed to be the intelligent ones. You don't get it yet? Why they not giving us reparations? Because we not immigrants. Hello? Yeah, we not immigrants. We didn't come over on no damn African slave ship. Hold on. Nature calls. All right, I'm back. Cut the lights on for my eyes. All right. So, so again, listen, man. When you hear people like Jason Black, Tariq Nasheed, no disrespect to them, man. No disrespect at all, because I listen to their stuff, man. But like, I got no other choice but to think that they just because I'm like, why y'all still with this black thing? I'm trying to understand this. Okay, it was one thing for our people to believe we was black because we've been taught this, but what is it with y'all now that we clearly see our skin is not black? We waking the hell up, like duh. Why? So why is these YouTube guys, the pro-blacks, why are they still around keep teaching this black stuff? Like, it just seemed like black is just so outdated. Black, African American is so damn outdated. So why are they still pushing this we black nonsense? Why are they still pushing this we black? That whole black thing come from the system of white supremacy. That whole thing come from the racist system of white supremacy, calling us and labeling us black people. So why are these so-called pro-blacks that's supposed to be so down with our people? Why haven't they changed the language? Why haven't they said, why do I got to be the one sitting up here only gonna get about 1,000 views if I'm lucky? And I don't care. That's cool. That's fine. You know, it would be good if y'all shared the video. That's cool, but I'm all right with that. I'm about direct talk. I'm about real talk. I don't like BS. So if I hear people telling me my skin is black, you trying to convince me I got black skin, you trying to convince me I came over on some slave ship from Africa, my people, I can't mess with you, man. I know too much. There's a picture right here. If you can see it, I had this done. That picture up there, you got to zoom in on it, right? I'll pick it up a little bit. That picture is it's a recreation of what was on the Bonnet Park Temple. Those are two bronze people, indigenous people, on the walls in the Bonnet Park temples in South and Central America. So these were the original Americans right here. Okay, I put that on my wall because that's where we come from. We Mesoamericans, man. We Mesoamericans. We have our own origins, our own history in America. We've been here from day one. We ain't never come from no place else. We're the oldest people found here in America. Y'all see that video I did? Thanks. Shout out to my lovely wife, Sister and Ramen Dare, for helping me, one of my lovely wives, for helping me put that up there. The one I did on the 6-minute breakdown and proof that we the real Americans. And we should be conducting ourselves as that, as real Americans, people who have pride for who they are, pride for our homeland. This is our home, man. Ain't nobody bring us from no Africa. Y'all gonna stop that lie today. Y'all gonna stop sitting up here repeating foolishness, repeating nonsense that we came over on some damn African slave ships and that we black people and whatnot. When y'all believe this BS, when y'all sit up here and let these people tell you this nonsense, no more lies, man. When y'all sit up here, like I said, the people that still sit up here promoting that, you got to look at them sideways, man. They still call us black people. You got to look at them sideways, man. You can't really take these people seriously. Why am I the only one saying this? Why am I the only one? You might find one or two people, like I said, but then a lot of these people still dealing with, they still on Fantasy Island, man. Black people are on Fantasy Island. So-called black people who still sitting around here not questioning, pondering, wondering, why are we calling ourselves black people? Why are we calling ourselves African American? Is that real? No, it's not real. No, it is not real. We American indigenous people. And as such, we deserve to have our own American Indigenous Street Music Festival, which we haven't. On the 21st of June and the 22nd, Saturday and Sunday. Come on out. I'm going to be out there speaking. We're going to have, it's free. The event is free. Go down there, hit the link down below, and donate to the American Indigenous Street Music Festival. We I think we're up to 10,000. We might be up to almost 10,000. The goal was to raise $15,000. We got about 8,700. So we need a little more help. So please contribute. Again, you people, I'm gonna say this one more time. You people who have donated, if you don't have your shirts, it's because you didn't put your address, or you didn't put your size, and none of that. We can't send shirts off to people who didn't put their address or their size. We can't. And the people who have your shirts are coming. Your shirts are coming. The people who have your shirts are coming. We sending them out. And those of you who donated, I thank you. And if you want the shirt, just send me. I think you got an email or something. Send it to and tell us your size when you go and hit the link. Tell us the size and your address, and we'll send you a shirt. It's no problem. I'm not trying to skimp on. I don't care about no shirts, man. What's important is this American Indigenous Street Music Festival, something that we need as a people. We need our own street festival. We need something that is culturally American. See, when we do things that do things here, it's American. Blues is American music. Jazz is American music. Hip hop, soul, R&B, rhythm and blues is American music because it was produced by the Americans, us. And the Europeans ain't did nothing but copy from us. Elvis Presley, Justin Timberlake, they ain't did nothing but copy from us, man. Trying to copy the indigenous people, which makes all the sense in the world. Everybody in America copies us, talks like us, wear their haircuts like us. Everybody. Because we're the American indigenous people. It makes sense that our culture dominates. Our music dominates. It makes sense. You see? So we're going to celebrate all of that. So go, please, and donate to the American Indigenous. Link down below. Somebody put the link in the somebody could put the link, please. Be kind and put the link in the chat. So please donate to that. Right? Please donate to the American Indigenous Street and Music Festival. And if you like, you donate over $60, $70, $80. I'm gonna send you 2 t-shirts. All right. I'm gonna send 2 t-shirts out to you. If you donate over $100, you're gonna get 3 t-shirts. Right. That goes for men, women. We got it all. Like I said, you just gotta make sure that you put it out there. You gotta make sure. And again, let me tell you something. What's holding our people back? You know what's holding our people back? We holding our people back. We holding ourselves back because we should have been stepped up as Americans. We should have been stepped up as Americans. You see, and I'm talking about culturally as Americans. We again, American is the only real thing that we have. We don't got African. African come from the Greeks, the Europeans. They come from them. Africa, the word Africa. American comes from us, not from Amerigo Vespucci. That's a lie. Not from the Italian explorer. That's a lie. Because if that was true, you would know about him. Don't nobody know about no Amerigo Vespucci. They lying. His real name is Alberico. America was named after the indigenous peoples here in America, the Americas. Americas. That's how they pronounced it. And then it eventually became America. As people say things, it fits in because it was meant to be South and Central America, North America. That's all our homeland. The West Indies, Jamaica, we all Americans, man. And you got Europeans coming over here decide who's American, who not American. They're not even from this side. Those are whole Europeans, man, walking around America trying to be us. But anyway, so please subscribe to this channel, share this channel. You know, let's get some more because we do real talk here. We do direct talk here. We do real and direct talk, raw and uncut. No, nothing but the truth. So subscribe, share this. Donate to the American Indigenous Street and Music Festival. We need to have our own street festival as Americans. Join the Republic of America, the Indigenous Republic of America, the ROA Worldwide. Become a registered member of the ROA Worldwide. Become a registered American. Again, we repping America and American. We're not repping Africa. We're not repping Egypt. We're not repping no blackness no more. All that red, black, and green, that's dead. That's dead. Our colors is red, blue, and gold. That's the real RBG, red, blue, and gold. That we repping red, blue, and gold as Americans. We ain't repping no Africa. We ain't repping no blackness no more. All that's dead, man. We bronze people, Americans. So hit the links down below. Check it out. Join the Republic of America. You know, let's purify ourselves as Americans. And that's it, man. I'll be back tomorrow, man. I'm going to close this out. I'm going to close this out in the name of Amen, by the power of Amen. Amen we trust, and Amen we thank, and Amen we continue forward forever. The Amen race, which we're going to talk about. And with that, Buster, good night.
Let me just fuck up your mind, please. Hey, yo. Let me fuck up your mind. All time, showing you the rhythm as I get ragged, get raw. Yeah, I need the man coming on, very raw. It's Busta Rhymes, giving you much more. So, yo, one more time I come. Knucklehead flow that make you act real dumb. Yo, I rip your crew like Florence. Run up in your grip like my name was Search Warrants. Shut your mouth, nigga, don't you complain. Fix you up, makes you whip cut like cocaine. Ooh, insane to your brain. Right on your subconscious, I'll leave my shit stain. I'll be the mostest with rhyme overdoses. I'm stepping over shit like I need osmosis. Sick lyrics like multiple sclerosis. Focus while I display flows ferocious. Weak niggas just fall and keep tumbling. Distribute lyrics like I'm hand-to-hand hustling. Hardcore like Rick Draw, McGraw. But what you heard, you ain't heard this before. I make sure everything remains raw. 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 Yo, when I step in the place, I leave damages. No bandages on pussy from miscarriages. Yo, watch me bring the newest recipe. Fuck you up quick and condemn you all with leprosy. Let me get you with flows that come various. Send you home and make you lie about your area. Niggas can't see my routine. When I round up, I flip more niggas and get cream. And you know what the fuck I mean. till I rock you out, then turn on my real high beam. Oh shit, now I got your brains fried. Once you inhale the smoke from my flow, carbon monoxide. Use your imagination, let me take you higher. Wait, hell, no earthquakes, earth, wind, and fire. Yo, hit the dirt, get on the floor. I'm that outlaw, nigga living right next door. You should just roll out the red carpet or move it target. I got you open like supermarkets. Yo, there's only 5 years left. Why nigga this gift to death? You read their last breath. Days of my life goes on. Word is on, I make you feel my proton, neutron, and electron. Yo, I be the number one icon. Word to the Holy Quran. I rock on and on and on. Hey, on and on and on. You won't understand when I form Voltron. Everything we make wrong. I make sure 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 everything we make wrong. There's only 5 years left. Remember that, nigga. All you